Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Christ and TK joining us today over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge, right there over by Parkview Baptist off Airline Highway. I'm in an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Go to lasportshall.com. And, of course, we're presented by LaBerge Casino. Today, TK and I are going to talk about, LSU Ben's basketball last night. Took it on the chin. We expected that to happen. They played a, number one team in the country in Auburn. Got beat by 13. If you took Auburn, you won your bet. I think it was 11.5 was the line that I was told earlier in the day. LSU women tonight, huge game against a top 20 opponent. Oklahoma coming to the PMAC, 6 o'clock. That game will be on TV. Kim Mulkey's squad, of course, bounce back after losing to South Carolina a week ago tomorrow. They got beat handily by the Gamecocks over in South Carolina. Opportunity to kind of rebound against a ranked opponent at home. Should be a big giant crowd. Oklahoma is ranked 13th, TK, I believe.
Yeah, 15. Oklahoma is ranked 13.
Yeah. So Oklahoma
LSU
13.
7, Oklahoma 13.
Yeah, so a top 15 matchup tonight. The Pelicans have, like I said, have gotten better. Zion Williamson back in the mix. McCollum healthy. They got better. They just don't have enough firepower. They built themselves such a big hole with the terrible start with the injuries and all. Till just a couple of weeks ago. They put up a valiant effort, lost by one. McCollum hit a bucket at the buzzer to make it, from a 4-point game to a 1-point game. And last night the Pels lose by one against the Mavericks. And the New Orleans Saints, the only team still without a head coach, although it seems as if Kellen Moore is going to be the guy, the offense coordinator for the Eagles, who was formerly with the Cowboys. You remember him as a hell of a left-handed quarterback for Boise State. TK loves all those lefties, but does Kellen Moore move the meter for you? I don't know. It was a guy that was kind of not necessarily talked well about in Dallas circles, although Dallas is critical of anybody if they don't make it, to the Super Bowl. But, he was sort of, always, whose fault is it? Is Jerry Jones's pet? It wasn't like, oh, Kellen Moore is this upcoming superstar. And then he goes over to Philadelphia. Obviously, he's done good things, but, how much is him? How much is Jalen Hurts? Definitely running the ball a lot more with Saquon Barkley in the backfield in Philadelphia and a running quarterback than he did in Dallas, where he threw a bunch. But that said, looks like Kellen Moore is going to be your guy. They can't officially announce him until after the Super Bowl. So either right after the game or the next day is when it'll break. Because if he wasn't the guy, Tommy, they would have had somebody by now. They've obviously interviewed other people. They've interviewed people multiple times even. And the fact that we're hearing nothing tells me that it's going to be Kellen Moore.
Well, he's 36 years old. So this kind of goes into that trend of many NFL teams have went with that 30-something-year-old guy. Pay him a little bit less, whatever. The unproven as a head coach. He's never been a head coach. But they're thinking, hey, it's all about scoring points. He's an offensive guy. Can he make a difference with Derek Carr? There's some other weapons with Olave and Kamara. So I think it's kind of we'll see if this can work. And I think, Mickey Loomis will be tied to this. And if it doesn't work, then Loomis has got to be gone for sure. But it looks like that trend. And, again, he's in the driver's seat. It's not 100% yet, but it certainly looks to be. And we'll just got to let it play out. And, Saints sit there. Somebody said, sir, it's embarrassing for the Saints to be the only team without a coach. Well, I don't know. The thing is, can you get the right guy? And then can that guy, produce? Can he win? Can he help him win the NFC South? Can he get him into the playoffs? That's going to be the telltale thing. No matter who you get, there's a level of unknown. And if that's what they think it's got to be is Kellen Moore, then we'll see.
The Saints just look. We knew this. We said this, and Mickey Loomis in his press conference that he had at the end of the year, Tommy, tried to kind of put I guess, cherry on top of this terrible season that they just had and make it seem as if the sky wasn't falling and that the Saints are in a good situation. And, oh, the salary cap isn't as bad as you think. And we got a lot of players on the contract and, where other teams don't. And so it's misleading and we'll be fine. And, hey, are you willing to call this a rebuild? No, I'm not willing to, so he seemed delusional. Now, I don't know if he truly believes all the things he said at the press conference or if, in fact, he's just putting a positive spin on it for the public. But the bottom line is that, the other coaches out there aren't dumb. They know that Derek Carr wants out. They know that the New Orleans Saints are in a terrible position to go get any sort of free agents. And they don't have a top 2 or 3 draft pick in order to go get, say, an automatic franchise type quarterback or something. So, they're just not in a good situation to win now, or really, quite honestly, to win in 2 years. They might. Things can happen, but chances are they're going to take a couple years to get this thing back on the right track, especially if you got to develop, say, a young quarterback or something like that with inexperience. So, and then in the NFL, you have 2 bad years. Are you realistically going to see a third? You know what I mean? You're probably not. And so, this is a very low percentage success rate for this job. Whoever takes this job is probably going to be having a different job in 3 years, and for sure 4. So, because of that, nobody wants it. And if you're having success and you're a hot coordinator, now the market is higher than ever. You can make, $3-4 million potentially. Why not make $3 million and stick around as an OC and have less of the stress? And, oh, by the way, it's working. You probably got a good QB or something like that, or you wouldn't, or you'd stay. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the Commanders' offensive coordinator. We're seeing the Bills' offensive coordinator. We're seeing other coordinators that are staying. Because you know what, this is a pretty good situation I'm in, and all my stock is only going to go up. It's not going to go down. If I go become a head coach somewhere, 2 years I get fired, I might never get a head coaching job again. And so that's why the Saints are where the Saints are, I think.
Well, Mike McCarthy says he'll wait till the coaching cycle in 2026. Okay, yeah. So he's basically saying, I don't want to dive into New Orleans. Let me wait and see what might open up, because there's going to be some jobs open next year. We know that. That's just the way it goes. But, I think Mickey Loomis believed all that stuff when he said it. The question is he correct? Is he accurate? Time will tell. By the way, the Saints do pick 9th as we stand in the NFL draft. So, 9th is, it's not bad, but, you're going to get a guy that's going to get on the field, you would think, at some position. But Saints, and I keep going back to this, Ronnie. The NFC South is a gettable division. It's not like the East where you got the Eagles and the Commanders. So, if you could get a couple of breaks and a couple of pieces to the puzzle, stay away from the injury bug, which really bit the Saints maybe a little more than normal this past year. I don't know. Maybe you can make noise in the NFC South, and then if you're into the playoffs, so be it. But I don't think it's a great, attractive situation. And even when there were 4, 5, and 6 jobs open, the national pundits who cover the
TK, yesterday, the Baton Rouge Rotary, which is the largest Rotary in the one of the top 3 Rotaries in the world, actually, with the amount of members that it has and all that. Rotary's known for having, every year the mayor speaking, or every year the LSU football coach. Well, they had Jay Johnson yesterday in a packed house over at Drusilla, and Jay was very chatty, very, had a good speech in the sense that he gave a lot of good information, not necessarily about the roster or the lineup, but just about the state of last season, and kind of talked about the season and talked about the program and and the NIL, and quite frankly, how it's different, But the thing that he said that attracted him to the LSU job to leave Arizona was partly because of, all the fans in the past, all the things you would expect that he would say, but also how, the state of Louisiana had such the players and the talent that came from the state had such a passion for the school. And, you think back to the history of LSU baseball and their 7 national championships, the core of that team. I mean, yeah, look, 23 is easy. You turn to Skeens and Cruz and go, yeah, of course they won the national championship. But the answer is, think about how good that roster is with those 2 players just right there. And who knows what anybody else does. But, like, we'll look back on that 23 team and think, oh, man, of course they won the national championship. But if you watch that season, you knew how close they came to not winning that national championship. I mean, multiple times. They had to win 2 games back-to-back. They had to go to game 3 against Florida. I mean, there was so many times they had to escape, like baseball is. But the key in my mind are the Dugases and the Belosos and the Malazzos and the Travinskys and the guys that are from the state of Louisiana, who were mostly playing on, they came to LSU on no scholarship. They came on tops or, minimal scholarship. Or change positions like Dugas's case, or came back for a 5th year, and like Beloso with the knee injury and things like that, and Milazzo. And my point of that is to say, those days may be gone with the NIL and the transfer portal and the money and the amount of money that these players are making and going to make more and more of. The playing for your state and the playing for the name on the front of the chest and it being about that, those days to me look like they're potentially going bye-bye. And he said that, he said, how do you get, players that where the day and age is it's about me, not we, but yet still try to get them to be we or try to put the team first. He says, that's hard to do. And sometimes you swing and miss. Sometimes that, hey, I want to stick around factor. He said, man, I lost a couple players last year to the portal that started and played. I said, that never happened before. That those things never happened in my career before, where a guy who started a lot and played well left. And he says, and now those things are happening, not just to LSU, but all around the country. And so it's a little different dynamic that you have to contend with. That said, he talked about only having 12 players back from a year ago that had playing experience. But he loves his freshman class, 10 incoming freshmen. He loves the biggest transfer portal class he's ever had in his career. And so clearly the polls are showing this team is being optimistic and being a top 5 team in every poll. But it definitely feels like the stress is on his face and the joy of being the LSU coach, albeit the best job still probably in the country. There's a lot more to being the head coach at LSU than making out a lineup and just, recruiting players. I mean, he's out there actively fundraising constantly, giving speeches like he did yesterday constantly. I saw him in New Orleans the day before at a speech. He'll be at something today, I'm sure. He's earning his pay, Tommy.
Well, the job description of college baseball coach has changed drastically. And it looks like Johnson has embraced that. You make that point of, only 12 guys from last year's roster are going to, who played in a game last year are going to play for LSU. I think fans have to get used to that. That's going to be the number roughly going forward. And I totally agree with your point. The days of the Milazzo and the Beloso, who had great careers at LSU, came back for their last year. We all saw the pictures of them youngsters with LSU gear on, wanting to be a Tiger one day. Now, Randy, our viewer, points out that Schmidt from Catholic High stayed because he wanted to be a Tiger. And that's going to be few and far between, going forward. With Jay Johnson and other coaches have embraced what they have to do. They're going to have to adjust to this revenue sharing thing that's coming down the pipe. We don't know what day it arrives, but expected to arrive by next year's baseball season. So bottom line, I'm looking forward to February 14th. Get out to the box. 7 of the first 8 games are during the day for LSU. So fans, you need to start thinking about that, about sneaking away from work and getting out to the box or whatever. So I'm looking forward to just watching some baseball. And, yeah, I'm going to have a lineup, a roster in front of me. I did get out there a few times in the fall to watch some baseball. And a couple of guys kind of got my attention. I'm going to see how they do in the spring.
Randy talks about William Schmidt, the outstanding freshman pitcher from Catholic High, and clearly he's the model of someone that still loves LSU. A guy who grew up literally less than 5 minutes from Tiger Stadium. Jay Johnson joked yesterday about how it was the shortest recruiting visit he ever had to make, and how he really didn't recruit William Schmidt the same way he recruited a lot of high-profile guys. Talking about trying to talk him out of the draft and let me make this official presentation. He was very laid back because, quite frankly, he didn't expect him to come to college. He saw him pitch a number of times at Catholic High and thought this guy's pro ready. He's going to get offered so much money. He's not going to be able to turn it down. Like, I'm not going at him the same way. And, like at the end of the day, we'd love to have him, but he's not going to come here. And then lo and behold, the young man just grew up a Tiger. Like I said, went to the pipeline of, LSU baseball, which is Catholic High, 5 minutes across, right there off I-10 in Acadia. And he grew up closer than that to the campus, literally, off Stanford. And it just was in his DNA. And, he had the belief that, the money's going to be there in 3 years, but what is it worth to be an LSU baseball player from an education standpoint, from a college standpoint? Most likely, because William Schmidt he started taking classes before the fall of his freshman year. I mean, most likely he's going to graduate by the time he goes pro, and he's, regardless of sort of what he does, he's probably still going to, even if he had not as great a career as we think, his talent and the arm strength and the ability is all there. And even if you have Tommy John these days, TK, you can, that's not even a hindrance as much anymore for the pro scouts. So I mean, he's surefire gonna make a lot of money regardless. It's just a matter of how great his career is at LSU, and the fact that he loves the Tigers. This is his dream school, and it wasn't about the money; it was about the experience and playing for LSU. That's all you need to know about that young man. He is going to be a superstar.
Well, and I think in the case of William Smith and other guys around the country, you're better off going to play at LSU and in the SEC than riding a bus in the Midwest League or on the East Coast or something like that and playing, high A ball or maybe double A because Smith's pretty darn good. And I saw him throw this fall. He's the real deal. You're better off competing in the SEC or the ACC or, there's other places other than LSU where in that case you're better off, for your career to go ahead and do that. And, and NIL money, you can still be okay. You're not making that $750 a month in the Midwest League, and eating at McDonald's every night. So, I mean, it's got its pluses, and you're going to really find out how good you are when you compete in the SEC and compete against the schedule that LSU is going to have to play.
Tomorrow on Sports Shorts, which will be back tomorrow about 9 a.m., Joel Davis will join us. JD, who is running for city councilman at large for the city of St. George. Of course, normally he joins us every Saturday morning, 10:30 on Sports Shorts Radio, on ESPN Radio in Lake Charles, Lafayette, and Baton Rouge. TK, for his little segment, he'll join us this Saturday, but we'll also get him on tomorrow. There's 2 city councilmen at large positions open in the city of St. George, and as of last night, the only 2 people that had registered to run were Joel Davis and a guy we know by the name of David DeLucci. David DeLucci, of course, played baseball at Catholic High, Ole Miss, and a long time in the major leagues. And most importantly, his wife was a long-time talent and model on The Price is Right. Matter of fact, she did more episodes than any other model on The Price is Right. But those 2 guys have thrown their hat in the ring. There are 2 positions that will get elected. They had the registration period is open until the close of business tomorrow on Friday. So, we'll see who else throws their hat in the ring today or tomorrow into the city of St. George. But JD, middle of March is when the election is, and we're excited for him. Hopefully he will win and represent Sports Shorts the right way. But we'll have him on tomorrow morning for a few minutes, and he'll join us on Saturday as well. So Joel Davis pontificating on sports and now politics, TK.
Well, and like I mentioned, I had a long conversation with him last Saturday, like 30 minutes, like on the phone, like not a text thing. And then I did swap messages with David DeLucci, text messages, because I've worked with David for many years in baseball camps and he's a friend. But Yeah, so, and I am a resident of St. George. I live in St. George. I actually work in St. George. So I'm going to be paying lots of attention to all this stuff.
All right, TK, tell us about Tremonti's as we get out of here.
Well, today you got a couple of lunch specials: jambalaya or a brisket plate with sausage. Man, that thing is through the roof. Brisket plate with sausage. Come get it for lunch today. Load up for the weekend. Everything you need. Mike and the staff doing a great job here on Jefferson Highway in Baton Rouge. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Crawfish coming soon. That cold weather kind of delayed that for everybody. You can still get them in a few places. Tremonti's will have them soon. Certainly, we will let you know. And as we mentioned, we'll be back here tomorrow. Tell you what they got set up for the weekend.
All right, for Tommy Chrysan, I'm Ronnie Rance. We'll be back tomorrow morning for more Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. Until then, give us a like and a share. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.